Okay, very good afternoon to all the attendees. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to participate in this year's NUS.
It's 4 o'clock.
And attending today's Stocks versus Crypto workshop. Well, in this digital age, crypto has definitely become very popular among retail investors these days. However, do you truly understand what crypto is? Is it better than stocks or vice versa? Fret not. Today, our workshop will help to broaden your perspective between these two assets. We'll be conducting a live Q&A session for the last 10 minutes of the workshop. So do send in your queries via the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen. But first and foremost, let me introduce you our notable guest speaker for today, Mr. Jason. Mr. Jason is the product lead in Bybit. He has been in the product management industry for the past 8 years. Previously, he has led product and growth at Grab and Chop. But most importantly, he is also a trader and investor, a man very capable of today's topic. Without any further ado, I'll give Mr. Jason the screen to start his workshop.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. So let me just share my screen and we can get started. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome. All right, so let's start. So today's topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I'm pretty sure it's a topic that I think many of us here in the room are probably curious of. Yeah, so let's get started. So just a little bit of disclaimer, okay? So I'm not a financial advisor, right? I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here really just to share knowledge, right? So all the things here, you gotta look at it carefully, right? Basically, I think two things to take away from here is you're responsible for your own life. When in the sharing here, really the risks and all that, you have to decide on your own, right? Second is past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, lah. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me just introduce myself. My name is Jason. I've been in product management for the past 9 years. In my previous life, I was an engineer, designer, entrepreneur. I started coding when I was still in school uniform, when I was like Sec 2, I believe, 14, 15 years old. Yeah. So most notable career highlights would have been at Grab, Chop, and Bybit. I've been trading for the past 3 years, stocks, options, crypto, investing in a bit of property as well. Yeah, so with that, let me just introduce Bybit as well. So Bybit is the world's most reliable and trusted crypto exchange with more than 5 million registered users, right? We really pride ourselves on being customer-centric and creating a fair and transparent, efficient trading environment. Okay, so we started offering like derivatives, eventually adding on like spot, making our dream is to become a go-to one-stop solution for crypto services. Okay, so that's a little bit of a brief introduction about myself and my company. Yeah, all right, so if you see this image here, right, I always say, right, when you're young, you have time, you have energy, but you have no money, right? When you're working, you have money, you have energy, but you have no time, right? And then when you're retired, you have time, money, and you have no energy, right? So maybe people here in the room, I would presume that maybe a large group of you are students, or maybe just enter the workforce, right? So I think money is a big, kind of like issue, right? So with fintech going a bust, right? How should you navigate the world, right? Yeah, but before I continue, can I have a show of hands? How many of you here have dabbled with like stocks? Anybody? Okay. Okay, I think the number is quite increasing. I wish the stock price increased like that exponentially as well. Yeah. Okay, I have to make a disclaimer. Actually, I made a disclaimer just now also, right? This workshop might contain some bad jokes. Okay, so yeah, maybe I should put it in the disclaimer next time. Okay, but anyway, for those of you who have dabbled in stocks, maybe you have different like stages. Okay, so I found this video online, which I just want to share with you guys. Maybe you can identify yourself with it.
Starts at 7:30 a.m. where the ruthless alarm will tell me to get up on my ass. But before I do, I will always check the market first to see how Alibaba is doing. Did I lose more money while I was sleeping? Because the US market opens at 10:30 p.m. Singapore time and closes at 5 a.m. And of course, Alibaba never fails to amaze me by downtrending another 3% overnight. What is it? I then look around and realized that Winnie was laying on the ground. Maybe it's a sign of punishment from the higher power. I then went ahead to tidy up my bed and then decide to make sure that Winnie feels like king again. I will then head over to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face to essentially ask myself to wake up my idea. I will then spend the next hour or so looking at the mirror, reflecting on what I have done with my portfolio by buying into Alibaba in 2021. And the best place to reflect would be, of course, in front of the mirror. After reflecting for an hour, I will then start my daily meditation ritual to calm my soul and be thankful that I woke up to a brand new day, despite knowing that I'm down 10,000 USD in my account. At least I'm alive. That's how I comfort myself. And because I'm so broke, I can't even afford a meditation mat. So I'll just make do with my mouse pad instead. Not sponsored by Logitech, by the way. After 30 minutes, we are just in time for the Hong Kong market open at 9 a.m. And to no one's surprise, they started tracking the US counterpart and they nosedived 3% at the start of the market. So to square away the uneasiness, I head out to get my morning coffee so that I can have the energy and motivation to read what BS happened to Alibaba again while I was sleeping. And as I walked towards Starbucks, I placed my order and realized that, hey, I can't afford it because I'm still down 10,000. So I decided to go home and drink water instead. So I indulged myself in the mainstream media, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, Bloomberg, you name it, we have it. After 2 hours of scrolling, I realized that it's just Alibaba doing Alibaba things. It's 12:30 p.m. and it's time for lunch. I want to treat myself to a good meal, but cannot forgive myself for the loss. So I decided to eat grass instead. At least it's free. So whenever I go out, I look through all the potential things that I can buy with the 10,000 that I lost. And I just lost all hope in life. Thereafter, I spent the entire afternoon on YouTube trying to find Alibaba, but nothing major seemed to happen. I then went ahead to reread The Intelligent Investor to seek some solace and to convince myself that, hey, investing might not be that easy. I then got a message from a good friend telling me he tripled his investment in CRO, and here I am questioning my life with Alibaba. I also decided to reread the stress test and attempt to postulate what will happen with this set of cards Janet Yellen is dealt with, and realize that this time it might be different. They just print to win, and whatever I read was just olden day BS. I then hugged Winnie and drowned myself in my own sorrow. Time flies when you're either enjoying yourself or if it's spent crying. It's already 7 p.m. and I needed a quick fix for my dinner. I decided not to eat grass because we have to change things up a little and have a little bit of variety. So I went ahead to eat instant noodles instead because I can't get over the 10,000 loss. So it was a really long day and I wanted to have a good night's rest, sparing me the energy to check the US market when it opens at 10:30 p.m. But before I do that, I will do my night ritual to pay respects to the greatest leader for his health and most importantly, hope that he doesn't touch Alibaba anymore. So I just wanted to start. So
okay,
the day starts.
How do I go to the next slide? Okay, so that's just a video that I found online. I personally find quite entertaining. I don't endorse like the things, right? I think it's just part of being satire, right? It's just a skit. But all right, let's get down to business, right? So what are stocks? So basically stocks, equities, shares, securities, they all basically means the same thing, right? So if let's say a company has like 1 million shares, right? One share is $1, right? That puts your company at 1 mil valuation. Okay, if the share price rise to $2, your company valuation becomes $2, right? So basically, a share represents ownership in the company, right? So if you buy shares, Alibaba, Tesla, Palantir, you know, what have you, right? You actually are an owner of the company, okay? So of course, there are people who are also inside the company, right? Who could probably be majority shareholders, right? So like, let's say maybe you watch like some Hong Kong or Korean drama, right? They have a hostile takeover of the company, right? So that's how it's done through shares. There are also different classes of shares, right? Some of them you can vote, some you can't. But what I want to highlight here, okay, before I kind of like jump in, deep dive into shares, is really for you guys here, right? So there's this thing called Esops, right? So maybe some of you may graduate to the workforce, receive like letter of offers, right? So ESOP basically, how this works is that, let's say you go for an interview, you listen to the offer, right? Maybe they will offer you like, let's say X amount of monthly salary, right? Plus ESOP, right? ESOP basically means the harder you work, right? The more successful the company becomes, the more you share in the profits, right? And it only happens, you reap the fruits and the benefits, right? When a company IPOs, for example. Okay, so the very typical one is like maybe 3 to 5 years, right? With like a 1 year cliff. So typically, right, they'll have like, okay, you work in the company for 1 year, right? Then let's say, you know, they offer you like 4,000 shares, right? The first 25% they offer you after 1 year, right? The remaining 75%, which is like the 3,000 shares, right, would be over the span of like the next 3 years, right? In this example, right? So every month you have progressively being granted, right? So if let's say, you know, you leave the company after like, let's say 2.5 years, right? You have like, maybe 2.5K number of shares, okay? And this kind of shares is what we call vested, right? So it's the process of earning an asset. Yeah. So for example, Grab, right, just recently IPO, okay? So all-time high was on 11 November, right? The IPO was on 2 December, right? This happens because it was through a SPAC listing, right? Market price, also sometimes short form as mark price, is about $6 now, right? So for example, right, if you were an early Grab employee, right, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? Let's say you have 10K shares, right? This is just an example, right? It's not the real amount, right? So today you have been worth, at this price, market price, right? You have been worth 64K, okay? At an all-time high, you know, you can probably buy like, no one can buy with 170K, probably a lot of things, right? And if let's say the share price go to 100 USD, then you have been like worth 1.3 million, right? So let's say, you know, you join a company, you can like maybe refer to like already publicly listed companies, how are their share price performing, right? So in the case of like a similar companies would be like maybe TT, Uber, Lyft, right? So how are they performing? Where is the target price? Right. So that's one of the things that you could look out for, you know, if you join the workforce. Yeah. Coming back to like stocks and shares, basically there are really different ways of looking at it. You can look at it via sectors. So there are like 11 like kind of official like sectors. Okay. There's also like different types, right? Cyclical, defensive, and so on. Categories, these are not so official, but these are the more, you know, if you do like value investing, these would be some of the things that we kind of like group and classify the stocks by. Okay, so when you have stocks, right, where can you go and find them and trade them? Okay, so the biggest two exchanges, right, in the US are the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, right? So so there are a lot of exchanges in the US, right? Then, you know, so there's like an exchange, right, whereby you can go and buy and sell. In some countries, there are more than one exchange, right? Some countries, there's only one, right? For example, like Singapore and Hong Kong, right? Then the index, right, will be some of the top companies will be made out of like the top companies, right? So for example, the more common ones will be the S&P 500, right, which is 500 of the biggest US companies, right? Dow Jones would be a smaller subset, right, 30, right? NASDAQ will have more like tech companies and so on. Yeah. So this is how the S&P 500 heat map would look like, right? The bigger the heat map, the square or the rectangle, basically means the bigger the market cap. Yeah. So as you can see, right, the bigger companies, right, would really be like your Apple, your Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Facebook. Okay. So looking at a heat map is a good way to kind of tell whether the market is like selling off or whether the market is like buying. And it's interesting to know that let's say the Markov, right, these top 5 big companies, they make up easily a quarter of the S&P 500, right? So even if these 5 companies are, let's say, selling off, right, your index will drop quite significantly. Okay, so question, right? What affects stock prices? This guy, you know, don't even need to put his name, right? I'm pretty sure people in the room know who this guy is. Are there people in the audience that don't know who this guy is? You can raise your hand. Yeah. Oh, really got, okay. Maybe like people in the audience can share who he is. So yeah, right. It's quite interesting because, you know, like we are living in a time and age whereby, you know, one guy can affect stock prices, right? And then there's another guy, right, which is you know, sometimes he is for or sometimes he's against. So over the past week, we see a lot of like sell-off in the markets. We see a lot of like correction, partially because of bonds, right? So bonds, their interest rates are going up, right? And if you kind of know, as mentioned, right, equities is another word for stocks, right? So bear in mind that equities and bonds, they have an inverse relationship, right? So if bonds go up, right, equities will go down, right? If equities go up, bonds will go down. Yeah, and really, even though the two of them relate to like companies, right? One is you are an owner, right? The other is you are a creditor, right? It's a debt, right? The company will pay you interest. So really, right, one is a higher risk, higher return, one is lower risk, lower return. It's just that in this time of like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you know, bonds seem to be performing a little bit better at the moment. Yeah. So when we talk about prices, okay, please do not mistake them for value, okay, because price is not equal to value. And there are many ways to kind of value a stock or a company, right? So we have like the discounted cash flow, we have like net asset, price to earnings, price to book, price to sales, and so on, right? So there's this guy, right, who is very famous for value investing. His name is Warren Buffett. So basically, he will find out what is the intrinsic value of a company, right? Coca-Cola, for example, intrinsic value of Apple, of like Facebook. Sorry, cannot say Facebook. Now it's Meta, right? Google, right? So if let's say Meta, right? Because the ticker symbol is still FB, right? They haven't changed it. Yeah. So like if let's say Meta is, you know, below like $230, right? Is it a good buy? Right. So if you already buy under value, when it appreciates naturally, you earn, right? Not to say you cannot buy high and sell higher, right? Because that also happens sometimes, right? Yeah. A lot of things contribute to companies like stock price, company performance, earnings call, right? So if there's earnings call, please don't try to avoid touching the stock, right? Because you never know whether you'll get up or get down. Bonds, as mentioned, economy, market sentiments, a lot of news. There's also like seasonality. Right. So as you can see, generally, it may or may not be true sometimes, but this is just like for reference, right? The first half of the year, it's where typically you have better performance in terms of like stocks. Okay, of course, in January, there's like a sell-off, but after that, probably after like Chinese New Year or something, it will just hopefully go all the way up lah. COVID has kind of like changed the game quite a bit, right? With a lot of like newbie investors, yeah. Actually, I should add one more here, Reddit Army, yeah, for the meme stocks. Okay, but anyway, moving on to stocks, right? So if you have, let's say, funds, okay, so ETFs are exchange traded funds. Basically, they are traded like a stock, right? They are traded on the exchange, right, and traded like a stock. So basically, you can have an ETF. They have a few stocks inside, right? For example, you can have a tech ETF like QQ or XLK for some of the more prosperous tech companies, right? So you just need to kind of enter the ETF, and then they will have like different weightage for the different companies. So it's a simple way to invest if you do not know which companies to choose and look out for. Okay, so some of the brokers I use, right? If you haven't started yet, I will encourage you to start, right? So these are the top 3 that I use. Okay, I'm not sponsored by them. Okay, FYI. So this really just from a product perspective, right? I think these are the better ones that are out there. Think or Swim is my my most favorite, right? The feature set is the richest in terms of like chart and all that lah. Of course, I think the emphasis is a little bit different. So Think or Swim is more for a desktop setup, whereas like Tiger and Momo, they are better suited for like mobile and so on lah. Yeah, so yeah, I may look quite young, but I'm actually quite old. Yeah, so I'm the older generation one. I need to use desktop to trade. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit background on stocks, the stock market, right? Let me just kind of move on now to crypto, because we want to kind of cover both stocks and crypto, and then to do an analysis, right, of the two. Okay, so cryptocurrency, really, right? It's, even though they are both like asset classes or like financial instruments, cryptocurrency, or crypto for short, is really quite different from stocks. Okay, because cryptocurrency, it is not another stock, right? Another kind of stock. It's not that, right? It's a different game altogether, right? And so basically, it is decentralized digital money, right, based on like blockchain technology lah. Yeah. So will there one day be crypto that is not based on blockchain? Maybe now already have lah. Just like how we have meat that is not from animals, right? So I think the definition we kind of need to update every once in a while. But essentially, there are 3 components to what a cryptocurrency is, right? So one is like virtual money, digital money. The other is the cryptography algorithm, right? The ledger, the blockchain technology aspect, right? And then there's the decentralized aspect. So it's not controlled by one central bank. So they cannot like print money as if it's like unlimited lah. Yeah. So this one, you gotta really kind of like go back to understand a bit of like the history of money and really where is it going, which I won't cover here today. Yeah. But some of the key things, right, that I want to highlight is really how can you own it, right? You can mine or you can buy. So of course, mining now they say is not very environment friendly. Yeah, because it takes a lot of like energy, a lot of resources. Yeah. So like if you want to get into crypto quick, right, I think the best way is to buy. So if you buy using like, let's say your cash, your credit card, bank transfer, right? This is what we call fiat. Yeah, on-ramp means you enter into crypto lah. Yeah, so in Chinese it's called 法币 Yeah, so it's not a very common term used in everyday life, but once you are in crypto, you will kind of see more like traditional finance terms, right? Like fiat, right? Yeah. So really, this refers to your current currencies. Okay, pun not intended. P2P, right? So people who have been in the game early. Yeah. So just to share, right? When I was doing my startup, I think the price of Bitcoin then was about $300. Yeah. Then I had around like I think 50K or 100K in the startup. Yeah. So I always look back and think, what would have happened if I put that amount into like Bitcoin instead of like doing a startup, right? Would life have been very different? Yeah, but anyway, the past is past, right? So you can buy, right? You can earn, right? So once you have certain cryptocurrencies, you can go and do trading, right? You can buy and sell. You can lend, collaterals, custodian. You can do staking and all that. So these are the more advanced things. So may not have time to cover today, and I won't go into this as well. Yeah, so users is really used as a store of value. You can use as payment, and then there's like tokenization, right? Yeah, yeah, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Yeah, so if you really want to get started on crypto, right, you can get this like a thumb drive thing, right, which we call a cold wallet. So hot wallet means it's live on the internet. Cold wallet means it's not live on the internet. Yeah. So there are many kind of like hardware wallets. Trezor. I think my personal favorite is the Ledger Nano X. Right. Again, from a product perspective. So that's what I would recommend. Again, not sponsored by them. Just from a product standpoint, this is what I use. So why do you need a hardware wallet, right? Because we are so used to like let's say electronic payments, right? You put your money in the bank, then there's like digital banking, right? So essentially, right, your money is all with let's say the banks, right? Then you have online banking, right? You don't have it with you, right? So that is kind of the thing that we are accustomed to or accustomed with, right? However, right, do you know that if let's say one day let's say you put your money in like bank A, okay, then bank A closed down. Let's say you put like 100K or 1 million, right? The most they'll give you it's maybe 20K according to their terms and agreements. If you have insurance, maybe they'll give you back like 75K. Everything else that is in excess is lost, right? So that is again the how it's being regulated, right? If let's say you put your money right with let's say crypto providers online, right? You don't have the keys, you don't own the coins, right? So there's a saying, right? So because I'll talk more about that later as well, right? Because of the way that is like structured, right? It's decentralized. So there are no like major institutions or players, right? Which is why decentralized means you are in control, you are in the front seat, right? And that's why it's very important for you to have control or ownership of these cryptocurrencies. Okay, which is why it's strongly recommended, right, that you maybe get a cold wallet. Yeah. So it's a bit of getting used to. Yeah, like what if I like I lose it, fire or what. I mean there are pros and cons to it. Yeah. What if where you put your money in one of the crypto platforms, they get hacked, right? Then your $1 million Bitcoin is gone. That's it. Yeah. So there's a difference between coins and tokens. So not many people kind of like realize this, but there's really a technical difference, right? The fundamental difference here is that cryptos are assets on their native blockchain, right? So for example, Bitcoin, so on the Bitcoin blockchain, right, Ethereum, right, ETH, right, on the ETH blockchain, right, tokens are foreign to the blockchain they live on.
It's 4:30.
Okay, so they don't operate their own blockchain. So for example, like Uni and Link, these are tokens that use the ETH, Ethereum blockchain, okay? But other than that, coins are like digital currencies, tokens are more like digital assets. Coins, their purpose, so far it's been purely for payment. Tokens, they have a much more wider use case for like signing agreements, smart contracts, and so on, right? So you can see like utility and DAO token, for example. So just as stocks just now have, like, for example, 11 official sectors, right? Then you have the three different types, right? The cyclical, the defensive, right? Tokens being, and the crypto industry and space as well being kind of like new. Don't worry about like, whether it's like a 7 classification or a 5 group classification, right? I think it's constantly evolving. Yeah. So one of the like people in the space came out with like a 7 like group or classification, right? So you have the stable coins, right, which is really you peg 1-to-1, let's say like fiat, right, collateralized. So let's say $1, then in the bank, let's say, right, exchange for like $1 USDT or USDC, right? So there's a shift now from generally from like USDT to USDC lah. Yeah. So when you're doing trading, you can take note of like the denominator, right, USDT and USDC. So I think generally now people are preferring more of USDC than USDT. Yeah. There's also like smart contracts. Smart contracts basically are like programs, right, or like mini programs, right? So you write code and then they'll do certain things, right? There's also the exchange tokens. So exchange, you have like, for example, Bybit is exchange, Binance, Hopi, and so on, Crypto.com, their exchange. I'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. So you have their own token. And then you have utility or like a function token. Like you exchange a file or you do like KYC. Yeah, so they have a certain function or use case. NFTs, quite popular now. Digital currency, then there's one group, right, which the contributor here listed, which is security tokens and equity token, right? But really now there's nothing that like the person could have thought of. So security here is not like no whether it's safe or not, right? Security here, it's how it's used earlier. Like it's a security. So it's like so for example, so in the US there's a definition of like securities. So you probably need to have like investment going into a common enterprise, then you expect like profit and what, right? So in the US there's like a SEC, right? Securities, sorry, it slipped my mind. Yeah. So basically it's like a vehicle, right? It's like a financial vehicle. Right? So that's the meaning of the word security here. Yeah. So there's something I want to point out, right, which is it's very interesting because if let's say there's a token that allows you to have like equity, right? Essentially that would be similar to what a stock or share is, right? But the class itself, the asset itself, it's a little bit different, but the function or the motivations behind it will be quite similar, right? And there's one DAO, right, which is one of my favorite like tokens here that is not listed, which is BitDAO, right? So maybe people ask, how come Bybit don't have exchange token, right? what kind of token is BitDAO, right? So BitDAO in itself, right, is a treasury DAO. It's one of is the largest DAO, right? Top 3 by treasury value. Now it's second, right? I'm not surprised. One day it's and I think it won't be long before it's the world's largest, right? So 2.5 billion now, right? And the protocol here is governed by like Bit token holders, right? So about 10K members, decentralized community, proposal and voting power. So DAO essentially means decentralized autonomous organizations, right? So it's a group of people or community, right? Very flat, non-hierarchical, very decentralized, coming together, for a common goal or purpose to do something, right? And you participate in that kind of action, right? Not because there's a manager or boss that tells you what to do, right? So anybody can propose, right? And you can propose, then only token holders can vote, right? On what to do, what to move forward with. So in BitDAO, there's a lot of growth, right, in the scene, creating like autonomous entities, right, across like art, media, finance, and tech. So a lot of like very sexy and cool projects that really kind of enrich the ecosystem, not just in like fintech, but really across all these different domains, to make the world a better place, right? So one of the projects that was recently in the news, I can see is EduDAO, with like Harvard and so on. So it's really for like good causes and moving like in the human race forward, okay. So so that in a sense, right, BitDAO, right, is a treasury DAO, is also a governance DAO, right? So if you look at like where would I place BitDAO, right, I think it will be somewhere here, So it's in a sense, we have like treasury, we have governance, but not in a sense of like a company, right? But really in a sense of a group of people, right? A community, a decentralized community. Yeah. So as I said, right, the classification here is constantly evolving, right? This may be true like yesterday or last week, may not be true today or like next week, because crypto is always like evolving and moving so fast. Yeah. So if you are wondering, what are the kind of like cool tokens that I can look at, I would definitely strongly encourage you to take a look at BitDAO, right? Not because like I'm biased, right? But because really truly, BitDAO is really something that is creating good in the world, yeah. Okay, exchanges, right? So we talk about like, let's say the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, right? But and then we have brokers, right? Brokers would be like the apps or the platforms that we use. But when it comes to crypto, Bybit, we are the exchange, right? We are also the so-called the broker. You use the Bybit.com or like the platform, right? Of course, it is not in Singapore yet. We are working very hard to make it available for people in Singapore. Yeah, but to like the rest of the world, many parts of the rest of the world, people are using like BitDAO, on a daily basis, right? And so this is what we call a centralized exchange, right? Then there's, yeah, so you can see over here, maybe it's like too small or what. There's like spot, and then there's like derivatives, okay? So let me just zoom in a little bit more about these two before I move on to decentralized exchanges. Yeah. So what is spot, right? So spot, basically, you buy and sell an asset on the spot, okay? So I think that's how the term came about. So it's settled immediately, you pay up full upfront, right? Usually for investment, right? So if let's say you want to buy some BTC, ETH, right? Just buying the token or the coin, only, right, that is spot, right? Derivatives, right, basically you buy and sell a contract, right, based on the underlying asset. So in this case, if let's say the contract would be based on, let's say, the like BTC or ETH, right? So stocks also, there are derivatives, right? There are also futures and options in stocks. Crypto, there's one more called perpetuals. So basically, you know, essentially you settle at a predetermined price at a specific date in the future, right? Perpetuals, as the term suggests, you hold forever, right? So there's no like settlement date. Yeah. Of course, until you die lah. Yeah, you bye lah. Yeah. Okay. So there's also leverage 100x, right? Usually used for like hedging and speculation. Yeah. So these are the two kind of like offerings that we have. So decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges, the key difference is this, right? It's really where your money is, right? So it's so for example with and where your private key is. So you know, with centralized exchanges, right? Your crypto, right, is in exchange, right? For DEX, right, it's really more decentralized, right? And then you, as in you hold the cryptocurrency lah. Yeah, so I think that's one key difference there. There are many, right, but I will not go through that. Yeah. So again, a heat map of the market. So market cap, BTC obviously is the biggest at 41%, followed by ETH. So if you're looking into venture into like crypto, the crypto space, these two will be something that, you know, I will buy. Yeah. So again, what affect crypto prices? Yeah, anyone want to make a guess? Oh, actually, can you type in the chat? You cannot type in the chat.
Yeah, I don't think they are able to type in the chat.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, this guy again, right? Yeah, you guess it. Yeah. So, so basically he can move prices, right? Stock prices, crypto prices with like just one tweet, right? So, you know, you can buy Tesla with Bitcoin, right? Tesla share price go up, Bitcoin price go up, right? You tweet something like this, you know, Bitcoin price go up as well. So very scary. But other than that, right, what actually drives crypto prices, right? Demand, supply, right? Cost of mining. So every how many years there's like less supply on that. Market sentiments, a lot of news and emotions. For crypto, especially a lot of like rules and regulations, legislations, fraud, theft, investigations, right? So let's say crypto exchange get hacked, right? Billions of, you know, just disappear overnight. Yeah. Then of course, there's a relationship now with companies and stock prices, right? Companies and funds investing in the crypto. Yeah. So these are some of the companies, right? So like MicroStrategy, Square, PayPal, NVIDIA, Tesla, JP Morgan, Visa, Facebook, MasterCard, right? So all these companies, they have crypto exposure as well. So I guess it's very interesting to kind of study the relationship, right? That companies have with crypto and crypto have with companies. Yeah, because nowadays it's getting more and more difficult to kind of like tell who is impacting who. Yeah. And of course, coming back to tokens, right, which we kind of put as such as now NFTs. I think you guys have another session on NFTs, but basically non-fungible tokens, right? So fungible is another fancy term for like exchangeable or like swappable lah. Yeah. So tokens, as we mentioned just now, that 7 group of classification, they are mostly fungible, right? So it's basically your Bitcoin, your one Bitcoin is essentially indistinguishable from the other Bitcoin, right? However, for NFTs, right, they are unique, right? and they are used to represent ownership of unique items. So of course, where you can buy them, OpenSea is the biggest place. They're usually on like the Ethereum blockchain, and people are complaining about, oh, high gas fees, very expensive. Then there's also like Solana in terms of the blockchain. So really, these are the blockchain that you can kind of look at for NFTs. Yeah. So basically, why would people want to buy or spend so much money on like a JPEG, right? It's really, I think one of the motivations is really for like flexing, right? In English we call 好脸, yeah, like you show that you are rich, right? Yeah. So trading volume has been increasing over the past few months. Yeah, so really there's a lot of activity now with like NFTs. So if you're into NFTs, really you need to be, other than looking at the fancy images, you should also be looking at the trail, the blockchain trail, follow the money, where the money is. So for those of you who know what I'm talking about, yeah, it's a little bit more of advanced topic, so which I won't cover today here as well. Yeah, and finally, okay, the highlight for today, right? Stock versus crypto, right? So Jason, I thought I signed up for stock versus crypto talk, right? Why you show me stock versus bonds, stock versus ETFs, yeah, coins versus tokens. But really, that kind of serves as an underlying knowledge base, right, for you to understand the difference between the two. And I think the key difference here, okay, maybe crypto, like hardcore fans, maybe will flame me for this, okay. But really, in terms of like technicals, in terms of like, let's say, fundamentals, at least how the existing worldview of like valuation, right? Stocks have like intrinsic value, right? So I mentioned just now, there's a way to kind of like value a company, or a way to value a stock, right? Yeah. What I did not mention just now was how you do that is through fundamental analysis, or like FA. FA and TA. Yeah, again, bad joke, right? I should put that in the disclaimer, I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, crypto is pegged to fiat, right? So there's no intrinsic value. Maybe one day this will change, right? But definitely now, the difference is where people see it, right? Of course, returns, I'll show you a little bit more later, right? Crypto definitely has more, right? Risk also, there's more, right? High risk, high return. Yeah, but really the kind of risk, whether your heart can take it or not, whether your health can take it or not, right? It's another story. So because of such, right, some people view crypto as speculation. So only dabble with like money you can lose, right? Never borrow money to throw into crypto, right? If you want to go into crypto, eat less snacks, drink less Starbucks, right? That $7, $10, $30, $50, fancy meal at a restaurant, go and buy some crypto. Yeah, you never know, right? Speculation. Yeah. So investment for stocks, right? One is 24/7. One, there's a fixed set of hours. In the Singapore market, right? There's even a lunch break. Yeah, but I'm just showing you like the US, okay? Trading fees, different regulation. One is regulated, right? Maybe this will be regulated someday. Yeah, because as I mentioned, right? Like the US view stocks as a security, right? So security is determined by like whether you put in investment into a common enterprise, and then we expect some returns, right? So will crypto one day become a common enterprise? So if crypto one day become mainstream, become a common enterprise, so does that mean it's a security, right? So I think these are some questions that, like legislation and the powers that be are grappling with, right? And of course, the different kind of like centralization, power and all that, okay? But I think what is more interesting, right? If, talking about all these things, which is more profitable, stocks or crypto. Okay, so if you put your money in the bank, right, which I think you should, right, you get like maybe 0.1, at most 3%, right? If you have a huge amount, like maybe, I don't know, $500,000 or something. Then CPF 2.5, 4%, right? Yeah. So yeah, and if you just put your money into, like, let's say the S&P 500, which is the index, right, of the top 500 companies in the US, usually it ranges about 7 to 13%. Average is about 10.49 lah. So this is like a 10-year series. Sometimes it's negative, right? Perform worse than a bank. But other than that, pretty good. So, you know, Warren Buffett say, you got nothing better to do, just put your money in the index. Okay. So you get like, you know, 10 to like maybe 30%, right? Yeah. So last year it did so the red color. So last year was about 28%. Crypto, as usual, 400%, 60%. Binance token was the like shocking one, right? Like 1.3K%. Yeah, so gold was negative. Yeah, so, you know, stock versus crypto, which is more profitable? You know, you look at this lah, then you decide where you want to put your money. Yeah. Okay, these are the top stocks. I will not cover that. We're running out of time. So for those of you who may be traders in the room, there are really different kinds, right? Like 4 kinds. I just hope that, so for myself, I'm a scalper. Yeah, so really you gotta know, if you are, let's say, an investor, right? Please close your eyes. Don't be like the guy in the video, everyday check, read the news, right? Just close your eyes, right? Open 5 years later, right? You'll be fine. Yeah. If you're a scalper, right? Please do not have an identity crisis. You know, like, oh, I'm a trader, then I lose money. Then suddenly, oh, I'm an investor. Yeah. So think of that. This is for people who, you know, want to have a bit of more risk. Really, you know, if your, let's say your account size is like maybe 10, 20K, per trade, you should only risk about 1 to 2%, right? So like $400 or like $300-400, $500 max, right? So this is to prevent you from having a drawdown that you cannot recover from and blowing your account. Yeah. So to end off, I just want to highlight 2 things. Biggest risk is really not taking any risks. Okay. And you know, there are things in this world, stocks and crypto cannot buy. Right? Your health, you know, love, family, and all that. Yeah. Okay. So that's all I have for today. We can now proceed to Q&A. I see you have some questions.
Yes. Thank you, Jason, for such an insightful talk. Okay, so we shall now proceed to the Q&A section. So regarding DAO, okay, a few of our attendees have asked a few questions. First being, who and how do you regulate the price of DAO to be stable? And another one being, how can we purchase BitDAO?
Okay, let me answer the second question first, because it's a more action question, easier to answer. Okay, so you can go to CoinMarketCap, right? So CoinMarketCap is really like everything you need to know about crypto lah. So you can go there. Then you can, like, let's say type let's say BitDAO, right? This is like an information service, okay? So you can see the price of BitDAO now is like 1.91, okay? And then it will show you the places whereby you can buy BitDAO, right? So you can buy on like Bybit, you can buy on FTX, you can buy on Gate.io. If you expand to see all markets, it will show you like where are the places you can go and buy. So you can go and like check them out, right? Yeah. Download the app, you know, put some money inside, then you can buy BitDAO through this lah. Yeah. So if there are people in the audience who are from overseas, then I think you can give Bybit a try. Yeah. Okay. Then sorry, what was the first question? how to regulate the price of DAO to be stable. So again, from what I observe, prices of DAO are quite stable. They don't fluctuate that much as compared to other like tokens, or like meme coins, frankly, because they have like a huge treasury, they have a strong community. So I think these will be some of the factors, or maybe the projects that they take on, right? But by and large, prices of DAO are quite stable, right? So there's no like regulation or so on. Everything is decentralized. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Next.
Okay, the next question is regarding cryptocurrency. So first question is XC Infinity risky? And the second question is, what are your takes on CRO, which is crypto.coin current standing?
XC Infinity, I think there are two things, right? So one is you must look at the number of like players. So there are websites that you can go and ask Uncle Google. So if you've been kind of like following XC Infinity very closely, you'll see that in the last few months, there's been like less and less people playing, right? Is that risky, right? That one is a question for you to answer, right? Is the price more or less the same now? Will it drop in the future due to that? Is that risky, right? So I think that's a question that you must answer after doing your own like research, right? So it may be risky for you, may not be risky for me, right? Okay. Sorry, what's the other question?
The other question is, what are your takes on crypto.com coin current standings?
Current standings. What are my takes? Okay, so obviously crypto.com is a very competitor, right? But if you ask me my take, I think it's a good way to get free Netflix and Spotify.
Okay. The next question is, generally, who trade stocks, and who trade crypto on spot, and who trade crypto contracts?
Who trade stocks? People who trade stocks. So there's a saying, right? That says people who are traders generally, whether it's stocks or what, are willing to spend some of the years like most people won't, so that the rest of they can live the rest of their life like most people can't. So people who trade stocks, really they are up for a challenge, right? And people who are good at technical analysis, which is like reading charts, candlesticks, patterns, and all that. Who trade crypto on spot? Basically, if you are a beginner, you should try to do spot. But if you are more advanced and more tight, you can do like derivatives, contracts. Because with derivatives, you can actually do more things like options. You can have like more leverage. You can basically earn more. But the knowledge is very knowledge intensive upfront. Okay, next.
Next is picking stocks versus crypto. Which one is harder in terms of doing their own research?
Which one is harder? I would say crypto is harder because of the availability of information, right? For stocks, they are like listed companies, so you can find their financial information very easily, right? Their cash flow, their balance sheet, right? That one you can find easily. So I would say it's harder for crypto because some of the info is not that easily available. Okay, next.
Okay. Before we proceed, maybe I can ask Mr. Jason whether you would like to answer the question, because it's already 5 p.m. But
I can take another 5 minutes.
Okay. So, regarding NFTs, how do you think of the value of NFT, and what NFT platform would you recommend?
What do I think of the value of NFT? I think NFT are quite cool. I mean, crypto this year will be a year to explore NFT, deep dive in that. Value, I think, will be with the content creators. Definitely, you will benefit them more. As buyers, you need to have a certain sense of knowledge and skill to kind of do like NFT lah, right? Because again, I say value and price is different. Because when we look at NFTs, really, if you are looking at from a content perspective, there's definitely a lot of like sexy stuff, right? And you represent ownership in something, right? So I can own maybe like very cool, like maybe Marvel, Disney, or like Sega, pictures, right? I want to add that to my collection. So it's like a collector kind of thing. If you're going into kind of the mindset of earning money, be prepared that you will lose a lot of money lah. Yeah. So really, that you need to take note of, right? Because whenever you enter things like NFTs, you pay for your loss because you don't have enough knowledge. Yeah. So what NFT platform would I recommend? It's been announced by our CEO in one of the online sessions on YouTube that Bybit will be like going to NFT space. So stay tuned for that lah. Yeah. Okay, next.
Next question is, USD is generally accepted worldwide. Go to, what is the main hurdle we need to overcome for cryptos like BTC, Ethereum to promote mass adoption?
Government, right? Regulation. I mentioned just now. Yeah.
Okay, can maybe wait a moment. Okay, so what are the matrices or aspects, or what matrices or aspects investors are supposed to consider when dealing with cryptocurrency?
Sorry, where is that? Okay. What aspects are supposed to consider when dealing with cryptocurrency? Okay. So you can look at the financials, you can look at the project. So these are some of the things I will look at. I think there's no developed way now, right? Because even though you look at all these matrices or aspects, the project can still fail. Yeah, but it's just one of the like your so-called personal due diligence that these are the checklists. But just because you take all these checklists, all these matrices, right? Look at the project, look at their financials, look at the charts and all that. Doesn't mean it's gonna be smooth sailing and prosperous for you lah. Yeah, because for all you know, there's an earthquake, some data center closed down somewhere, then there goes the crypto, right? Yeah.
Okay, can probably answer the last two questions. Okay, this question is regarding whether is it possible for Mr. Jason to share the PowerPoint?
Share the PowerPoint. I don't know, right? Maybe after the session, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, can. Then yeah, if we have the slides, then we'll share it on our website. Okay, then the last question to end the whole workshop is, could you predict what the trend for the year 2022 will be in the crypto industry?
I would say my guess is as good as yours. I don't have any extra divine knowledge or what. But if you were to ask me what are my views on the crypto industry, definitely I think this year would be going to more like decentralized offerings, right? So crypto now and more and more people are going mainstream. I would foresee more companies having crypto as part of their balance sheet. I will see like NFTs, DeFi being more mainstream lah. Yeah, and also more use cases. Yeah, so a lot of like layer 1, layer 2, cross-chain operability, So technical enhancements, right? And also I think product-wise, hopefully it become more beginner friendly as more and more people enter the space lah. Yeah.
Okay, Ken. Thank you very much, Mr. Jason, and everyone who is attending today's workshop. Okay, NUS Fintech Month is very proud to be partners with Bybit for this year's NUS Fintech Month and this year's hackathon. And we look forward to seeing all of you guys for the next events on our Fintech Society. And thank you very much, Mr. Jason, again for giving today's talk.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, see you. Bye-bye.
Also,
Okay.
yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.